Can I whisper this entire video because this is weird, man? You know what? I'm just gonna try and do this very quickly. Anyways, alright, hey. Put a pin in that. There's a person. He's bringing in his clothes, so I'm gonna just wait a second. It's been a while. This is like my catch-up video. It's going on like 8 or 9 months, and it's been a time, but I wanted to make this video as like things I've learned since moving to Japan video. I've been learning a lot, I think, just in general, and then about myself, and just a lot about life altogether since moving here. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Things I've learned since moving to Japan, and not like the general things like, you know, simplicity of life and like the cleanliness of life when moving to Japan, because I mean they are literally out here like sweeping the streets. Like I'm so serious. They do not joke when it comes to cleanliness. The first thing I've learned is how to truly be alone well. Not really being lonely, but being alone. This is the first time that I've truly lived by myself in a different country, away from my family and my friends who are all in different places and countries and different time zones. So I think first dealing with that separation, and also just being in a country that has different language that I don't speak. It's been harder to make friends in that sense because I don't speak the language. Even the friends that I do have or do make with my job, they all live in different cities, so like maintaining those relationships are harder because we still all live in different places essentially. I guess overall it helped me to really pull out parts of myself in terms of learning to step outside of the normal things that I'm willing to do alone. I guess what I'm trying to say is that you learn what you really want to do when you have to do it alone, or you learn the things that you truly value and like to do because you have to do it alone, so to say. Let's say eating alone or going alone to a restaurant. I realized that I value trying new food because that's something that I do not hesitate to do these days. It's literally a newfound hobby for me. I go out and I try new restaurants and dessert places because I still have to eat, you know? Even something like recording alone. And to be honest, I've always been uncomfortable recording even with people. I think just everyday parts of life, just getting more used to doing them alone and seeing what I'm really willing to do alone, because I don't have that crutch of, you know, a friend or a family member or an acquaintance even. You like learn a different part of yourself when you have to be alone with yourself for a long period of time. I'm a person who always like I enjoy being alone, but I think in prior times it was in like small chunks, but like these days it's like most aspects of life living here is like wrapped up in being alone. Even like the negative parts of you're not constantly around people who know you, who are able to, I guess, like call out those negative parts of you. So it's like, it's almost like in a way you are your own accountability, so to say. So even being more responsible, it's like, okay, I have to do this even though no one is on me to do this, or no one is watching me to make sure I do it. So even those parts and those aspects of being alone, I think all well together, that's something I have learned to do better. I don't think it's necessarily the same thing as being independent, but just being with yourself in a more healthy way. So I think just learning to be alone well is what I'm saying. The second thing I've learned since moving to Japan, I would say, is the importance of balance in your life. I feel like Japan in and of itself, it's like the biggest metaphor for balance. You have the city versus the inaka. You have like the big concrete jungle in Tokyo versus like the greenery of all of the like smaller prefectures, versus fast pace of city life, and then you have the slow pace of like the suburbs and outside of the city. I feel like even with that balance, a lot of people here are aware of it, but not necessarily trying to live by it. A lot of people know the work culture, the work-life balance is non-existent. Learning how to balance just the everydayness of being here, even in the simple things like the balance between cooking and eating out, or the balance between like resting inside on the weekends versus going out to do something fun, because at the same time I still need to recover from work on Monday. Just the overall balance of knowing when to try to go with the flow and like swimming against the flow, because I think sometimes I'm just like very forward focused and like it has to be like this, or I need to be like this in order for life to be good, or in order for everything to be good with myself. I've been having to learn that more while being here. I don't know if that made sense, but I guess it makes sense in my head. This is a video diary, yes. But anyway, let's move to the last thing I've learned since living here. The last thing I've learned has been the importance of movement and nature in my life, and how much I didn't value it in past seasons, I would say. Since moving here, walking has been my main form of transportation. But I always have told my family that I want to live in a city that has like effective public transportation, because I don't like driving. I don't like it. I think it takes like a lot of energy out of me too. My space and depth perception is not so good, so I'm not a good driver, and it's like I tell my students, it's too troublesome for me. I can't. I work close enough to walk or take the bus, and taking the bus, because it's like you still have that morning rush hour, so I just walk. And walking to work every morning has been like such a refreshing time. I usually walk back home from work as well, like if I don't have anything to do, but I value walking so much. It's like movement that's not forced, so to say. And I realize, like, I understand now why people say exercise is medicine for the brain, because it really is. I have just a lot more clarity of mind, and I wouldn't really go outside if I didn't have to. And I think walking being my main source of transportation, I don't have a choice. Like, if I want to eat, if I want to buy groceries, I gotta walk to the food store. So I don't have a choice. I've learned that walking and taking public transportation is viewed as slightly differently living in a country where driving is the main mode of transportation. From my perception, it's still, looked down slightly less to, I have my own car and I'm driving. But I think the older I get and the more I take public transportation, I'm like, I don't mind. I honestly rather just hop on and off a bus and a train. If it's effective and clean, I'm okay with it. My idea too of how long a walk has changed since moving here. I feel like I would look at 10 minutes and be like, no, I need to drive. Like, girl, I could walk. Walking every day, I guess, is the main change. And too, just seeing nature in a different light, which I don't guess. I know I took for granted living in the Bahamas, which is something I always feel. I always take for granted living in the Bahamas and the beach is right there. When I move outside of the Bahamas, whenever I meet people from a different country, they're like, you live in the Bahamas? I'm like, yes, but living there is different from vacationing there. People say, I'm in the Bahamas, I live where you vacation. No, I work where you vacation. Hello? But yeah, I really, like, whenever I move to another country, I hope I keep the same habit of walking, and I hope that my mindset, like, this is a 20-minute or 30-minute walk, I actually hope it grows. Like, I hope I'll be looking at like a 40-minute walk and being like, I can do it. When my mom visited, she's like, yeah, I'm not listening to you. If you say it's a 10-minute walk, she's like, it's actually a 15-minute walk, and she's like, you walk way too fast. Between the bird and the plane right now, this is a lot. I would say I've learned a lot of things since moving here. These have just been like the big chunks. But one thing I'm still learning, like the main thing that I'm still learning, is being uncomfortable. Yeah. Or being uncomfortable with standing out, more specifically. Like the staring, I definitely had to get used to. It's more of like a stare of curiosity. Even in Tokyo, the most populated city in the world, it's like you still stand out being a foreigner in Tokyo. And I'm like, so I think just being uncomfortable with that fact. At this point, I'd be worried if people don't stare. That's how common it is. Just the small parts of being different and like being uncomfortable with the unwarranted attention. I'm someone who doesn't like attention to begin with, and now I'm like, I moved to a country where it's in the package deal. I don't have a choice. Especially to how I like want to record more and like to document my time here and my trips here, and it's like, this is like, I keep adding to the levels that would like ensue staring. I don't know why I keep doing it to myself. One time I was on the bus and there was like a lady with a baby to my right and like an old man to my left, and they both were staring at me, and I'm like, I just like looked down on my phone and like, and I'm like, this is why I don't sit in this section of the bus. I will never forget that moment. Oh my gosh. So with living here, there's never going to be a time where I don't stand out, unless it's like a big group of foreigners, where in that case we all stand out. And like, I think small parts of the culture where like you just have to be okay with being, I don't want to say other, that sounds negative, but it's not all negative, the standing out and being uncomfortable. Sometimes you have like the nice kids who like wave at you and you're like, oh. That would always just be funny. It's given me like a whole new light to like living in a certain place and being a foreigner, because I look at a country like the Bahamas. We're so used to foreigners, or the idea of foreigners. But I don't know if that's because it's such a small country and like we don't have a choice but to be aware. I just think of, wow, if this was like back home and like a young person seeing a foreigner, it would just be like normal. Even though the Bahamas, I think, is also like a homogenous country. I went with one of my co-teachers to like a teaching training day, and we both were like, we were so drained and we were done. We were like, can we just like dip out and leave? Because like some other people were like leaving before I was done. And she just was like, we could, but it would be too noticeable. And she was like, because I'm with you. Like, we can't do it, we have to stay. She's like, it's gonna be too noticeable. Where did that group with the one lady with the foreigner, did they leave? That was really funny. I'm like, yeah. In a lot of cases it's funny, and in a lot of cases it's just very uncomfortable, to be honest. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about, some of the things I've learned, and of course I'm still learning like a lot of things from living here. One would be Japanese. It's gonna sound bad, but it's easier to survive here with English than I thought it would be. But that's not an excuse for me to not be still this bad at Japanese as I am right now. You get home and you're like, I'm done for the day. And then the Saturday and Sunday just disappears. I am allowed to study Japanese at work. My company is like, oh, it's okay, just try not to study on your phone. But I'm like, oh, come on now. So I have no excuse is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I hope that I can continue to make more, not only of like these sit down video diary type videos, but more vlogs. I'm trying to be less uncomfortable and less awkward with filming outside, but it's been difficult, I'm not gonna lie. But like a lot of things have happened. Like I've had a great summer. I've met with so many different friends, so the summer vlogs, they're still rolling out. It's about to be winter vlogs at this time. Also, my mom and stepdad came to visit, which has been really nice for, family to come. I'm still waiting for my brother and my sister to come. I feel like they would really like it. So whenever they come, other vlogs. This is me again. This is me really setting those expectations high. Like the summer vlogs haven't even came out. Honestly, I still wouldn't consider myself a vlogger. I don't know. I'm a person who takes videos. A videographer? I tell that to my students. I'm like, a photographer is a person who takes photos. So a videographer is... And they all just look at me like, Sis, we don't know. But yeah, I want to show more of like what life is like living here, and without, you know, the shiny cover up of what it's like really. It's really like the give and take. Again, that balance. See? Anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Don't know if that will be a vlog or another sit down video or a travel vlog. See, I don't even know. With me living in another country, I'm like, what is considered a travel vlog at this point? Or like a concert vlog. Concerts, guys. This week I'm gonna be trying to buy tickets for 2 different events. Like, I make that much money anyways. Like, the donations are still open. This ALT salary ain't it. The value of this yen right now. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. I don't know if any of this is making sense. I don't even know how to say what I'm trying to say. That was so awkward. My hand. I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense, but